Hear ye, and welcome to the Royal Geek Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Rollison, also known as T-Roll, and tonight I am joined by my very good friends. First of all, we have Justin Sandoval, a.k.a. Sandy, and we also have Anthony Amato, who we like to call Shamato. Boys, we are here to review an epic penultimate episode of the Ahsoka series, which sadly, Justin, is coming to an end. How you feeling about that?
Man, one more episode.
You sad?
I'm actually really sad. Yeah. This has been peak Star Wars, man. It has been so much fun to just relive some of the moments of of Rebels that we really truly loved, and then add a new little spin and twist to it. I'm excited about this whole entire thing.
Yes.
About you, Shamato?
I feel like it's just been like one giant fan service in a lot of ways.
Yes.
Sure, yeah.
It's been really good. I feel like it was less serious and less dramatic than something like Andor.
Yeah, that's true.
Or
Good point.
like critically acclaimed type of way, but not in a necessarily bad way. It was more towards like the summer blockbuster type of thing. It's just it's really fun, but it's still really good too.
Indeed. Well, before we get into the rest of our review, we want to thank all of our listeners for tuning in. We want to remind you to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen, and also to follow us on social media at Royal Geek Pod, leaving us a review on Google and Spotify and Apple. Duh. Yeah, that's the best way you can help us, and also sharing this podcast with your friends. Please help us to grow our geek network. Okay, here's everyone's spoiler warning, okay?
Get out of the way.
Yep.
Here it is. Spoiler warning for the penultimate episode, which was called Dreams and Madness, which was a shout to, was it last week when Lord Balin said that this planet is a land of dreams and madness?
Yeah, I believe Balin said that.
Yeah,
exact line. So.
All right, overall thoughts on this episode, boys?
Yeah, overall thoughts. Okay. We talked about last week at the end. I'm going to go straight there, T-Roll, just because I know you're going to love this conversation so much.
Okay.
But the Purgles coming in.
Yeah.
We talked about if we're actually going to get to see anything go down. Good news is we didn't see any die.
I don't think any died.
I don't think so either.
They seem to have some tough skin.
Yeah.
And they weren't just getting... I thought they were just going to be getting blasted by
ships, right? Yeah, but
and they
weren't.
weren't. And those mines...
They were small compared to...
I'm sure they didn't feel good,
but
because clearly they bailed, but...
Yeah. When they bailed, dude, I was like, "That's so cool, dude."
That's
They're
smart.
Like, "See ya,
this ain't our fight."
Yep.
But just that whole opening sequence was so much fun, man. Like Ahsoka and Hu Yang just dodging the minefield, but also being chased by fighters as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And then disappearing into the ring, the debris. Just aesthetically, it looked amazing. Like the whole entire scene was great.
Yeah. I mean, it was really cool seeing that, and I mean, I was definitely thinking about UT-Roll when they came out, and I was like, this is exactly what he was talking about. But yeah, they seemed like they just seemed like they were really tough, and like it was just going to be more like a nuisance than anything else.
Right. For anyone who's confused, I get really emotional with animal brutality and shows and stuff.
Even fantasy animals.
Fantasy animals, yeah. So luckily, it didn't feel like there was a slight moment where I was like, when Ahsoka was getting worried, like she's like, something's wrong. I was like, it's not going to be pretty, but it never really got bad, and it looks like they all escaped.
Yeah.
So, shout out to Disney. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Filoni. Thank you, Star Wars, helping T-Roll out over here. All right. I mean, good episode.
It wasn't as strong as the last three.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, they've had a couple heaters in a row.
Oh yeah.
Several.
You can't maintain it, but at least it didn't. This one was not in like the basement.
But it's no. But it's interesting because normally the penultimate episode is like the episode, right? So maybe that means, and I think something that helps. There is a season 2, right?
I believe so. I don't know.
There has to be because there seems like a lot of stuff's going to go down.
Yeah, I mean,
there's going to be a big cliffhanger.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
which we'll get to because we're playing buy or sell in a couple of minutes. So.
Ooh, here we go. Spicy.
But yeah, I mean, it's going to end in a way where it leaves us on a cliff. I think it's going to have to. But yeah, it still felt like it was setting things up, and
Yeah, it didn't feel like it was pushing us back. It felt like it was just aligning us to where they wanted to go.
That's right.
Which it isn't necessarily always what you want in the penultimate episode, but it's not a bad thing for the penultimate episode.
Yeah, it's also kind of like, I mean, you mentioned setting up the story, like building up. I mean, yes, penultimate is usually like balls to the wall crazy, right? But maybe, just maybe, they are kind of, they're not ready to show their cards yet. They wanna kind of build that suspense still for a finale, which I'm hoping is phenomenal. Is great. Is what I'm hoping for. But yeah, maybe they're just not revealing all their cards yet.
Yeah.
That's it.
They're not revealing all their cards, like not letting Ezra have a lightsaber.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, like even that was like
That scene was a little overplayed. I think. Like, take it. It's yours. Like, you got it.
no, dude, it's literally your lightsaber.
Yeah.
I'll use the Force.
Yeah.
And a few blasters.
I do feel like it was.
Yeah.
It was. I felt like that was a little weird in general because he was essentially saying, "No, I don't want the blasters either." But then, literally later in the episode, he uses a blaster.
Yeah.
And also, like Ahsoka shows up. She's got two. Let's just
Share the wealth, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was one.
And that was
little-
literally his. It was his lightsaber.
And clearly they're doing something with Balin, which I'm sure it'll make sense in this next episode. Maybe.
I feel like
we were robbed. I mean, we got a little bit of a battle, obviously, with him and Ahsoka.
Right.
But we were robbed of. I mean, it should have been him and Shin down there in that whole battle.
Yeah, but I feel like Balin feels like he is like interwoven or destined to only face Ahsoka, and so like he was trying to make sure that stayed the case. Like I guess somehow through the Force knew where she was going to land from the ship. I don't know. I don't know what the heck
Bull
that was.
crap. It
Trust
was
me.
just convenient.
Listen, when that happened,
stop.
when that happened, I'd lean over to my wife. I was like, I don't even know how that happened or why that's there, but I'm just going to assume the Force.
I don't think there was anything with that with him. I think what he wanted to do, if anything, he was giving room for Shin to take her place. I think more than anything else. I think that's why he was staying back, because he was. It's kind of like that idea of. It was kind of like the idea of when Tom Brady left, like New England to go to Tampa Bay, and then he won a championship without Belichick, where it was like, is it this person or is it this person? Is it Belichick or is it Brady? I think it's kind of how like that moment he was trying to give to her was allowing her to win on her own merit, on her own, without any help from Balin.
Hey, this girl that you failed to kill twice now, go try again. Oh, and also there's another Jedi there. You've got this, Shin.
Yeah, prove yourself.
Honestly, I still like his performance.
Yeah.
Okay, but I've been getting more and more out on Balin the last few weeks, slowly but surely. And again, part of it is they're being Star Wars is being intentionally vague about what his motives are, what he's doing.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
But I feel like the look that Shin constantly gives him of confusement is like more and more my look every week.
With him, what
With
decisions
him.
you're making? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's tough to see where he's
Nothing
gonna go.
against the actor. He's been killing it,
Yeah.
and rest in peace.
Yeah.
But it's more like, again, like he said different things to Sabine, and then he's just been super unclear with Shin. He speaks in metaphor. I don't know. He's just weird. It's getting weird, man.
It's getting weird with him. Maybe it's just because I don't know. Maybe he's gray, right? Like he's that middle, right? Maybe he's just trying to be a true middle. He's talking to both sides, like talking both sides of it. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it's possible that's literally the ambiguous nature is that he just never really leans one way or the other, which would make sense for what that type of character is supposed to be. So down the middle that you never really get a true read on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. Hopefully, he has a good conclusion, considering that this is the last we're going to see of his character.
Yeah.
Like, regardless,
for
even
sure.
if he doesn't wrap up his storyline, like I don't know how they have to recast him or something. But
either
way.
recast or I don't know what they would do with that.
Right.
I mean, I would hope that they wouldn't. I really do hope they wrapped up his storyline.
I do too. I really do too.
Just so they can let him just kind of go, but it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, boys.
It's time.
It's time. Everyone's favorite tradition on the Royal Geek Podcast. Any penultimate episode we have, we play a fun game of buy or sell. Wish we had some cool music for this.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
just not that cool of a podcast yet.
Suck and sweat. No, I was kidding.
All right. So Are you guys ready to play?
Yeah, let's do
Yep.
it, man.
Okay.
Let's go.
Senator Ziono? Ziono?
Yeah.
Ziono? I think it's Ziono. I don't know. The guy that's like...
The D-bag.
Yeah, the D-bag senator.
Yeah.
Buy or sell is an undercover Empire spy or whatever. Or Empire sympathist or loyal.
Essentially,
something.
like,
Undercover bad guy.
Yes.
Go. Buy or sell.
I'll buy that.
I mean, you hear a little bit about him in Resistance, Star Wars Resistance, because he's the father of the main character in that. So just based on what I know from that, I am going to sell. So
Look at this guy using
actual lore.
yeah,
Anyway,
actual lore. All right, you guys will love this one. We will get a cameo of Zeb in the finale.
ooh, I want that to happen, so I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna speak it into existence.
Okay.
Especially this episode, they said,
Name
Zeb.
drop.
Yeah, they said Zeb's out
Training
recruiting.
recruits.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
dude, like, come on, let's go.
And, you kind of think of the pilot is, he has already interacted with Zeb. So they've already created that connection there. So there's a possibility that could happen. So
Yeah.
I'll buy that as well.
Wow, you guys think he's showing up at the finale?
Yeah, why not? What if it's like Thrawn coming into the other galaxy, but the
Zeb's waiting.
The New Republic is there with a fleet, and Zeb
Yeah.
is a part of them. Why not?
And that's the end of cut.
Yeah, please don't.
Okay. We will get a cameo of Leia in the finale.
Ooh,
I'm going to sell.
I don't want it. I'm selling it.
I think this is what we got.
I
In this
feel like
episode, I think
I
that's
feel
it.
like the
Yeah.
C-3PO
That's
being there was
was enough.
was the bridge as far as they were
they
willing
dropped
to
her
go.
name like a ton of times. Senator Organa.
They did.
And
Leia,
I think that's
Leia,
all. I think that's all the fans want too.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't. She doesn't need the Mark Hamill effect. She doesn't need the,
No.
the comeback and younger body thing. Like,
I feel like basically they just they just wanted her to be used as a powerful name.
figurehead. Like,
Yeah. Because to show that, because it actually makes sense for her name to be thrown around because she was such a prominent figure at this
Oh,
point.
of course, yeah.
So like it would actually almost be detracting.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways to not mention the most prominent member of the resistance.
Well, I mean, especially when Sabine is telling Ezra, like, catching him up on everything in the Battle of Endor. Like, she literally was on Endor to end this entire
Yeah, that's
empire.
right.
Yeah,
That's right.
so, yeah.
All right. Buy or sell. We will get any significant cameo.
I'm going to go ahead and buy it.
Aside the two.
I'm going to buy it. Yeah, I think we're going to get
mentioned.
something. I just,
Okay.
it's going to have something to do with the fight against Thrawn. And I think it's going to happen on Hera's end. I think Hera's going to put together somebody to combat the potential return of Thrawn. And we may get a cameo of a ship, or we may get a cameo of...
What if we get like Lando Calrissian?
Why not?
Like,
Why not?
would that not be like that would be a super cool,
Yeah, it'd be cool.
like out of left field
Yeah.
type of one? Because wasn't he? He was supposed to show up in some of the sequels, correct?
Yeah, he was supposed to, yeah.
Yeah. So like it would make sense. Like maybe they're just like,
Well,
well,
he did in the Rise of Skywalker
Yeah,
at the end.
yeah.
So, or in the middle.
yeah.
So.
So like it'll be interesting to see him show back up and like just kind of drop him back in there, and it would also be a continuation of launching the steam for the new Lando movie.
Yeah.
So it'll be kind of refreshing our minds, getting him to the front of our memory of the character for the Donald Glover movie that's going to be coming out whenever that ends up coming out.
Yeah. Whenever. All right. We will get some Huyang action in the finale. Him going nuts on someone.
Let him go some Rock'em Sock'em Robot style. Like,
Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and sell that. Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's the guy in the cockpit.
In the ship?
man.
Yeah.
That's
He's
it.
in the
That's
chair?
it. Yeah, he's the guy in the chair. Yeah.
You
there
know,
you go.
it'd be a really cool scene that I would love to see him in though, like him against Shin, and like with her like sort of unbalanced training that she has had, and him just like almost essentially giving her a training session, but just like
that'd be cool.
really just like frustrating her the entire time because she can't defeat this robot, and he's just continually like just giving her like advice almost as they're fighting.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
You
Just
know,
humbling her.
Yes.
Yeah. Ooh, that'd be fun. How about this one for you? This is for Shimada only. Sorry, Tyrell.
great.
But
All right, well, I'll just
what
turn
about
my
Hu Yang? Is like he gets pretty destroyed, right? And he has to get rebuilt in this episode.
Yeah.
He gets rebuilt, comes back as a Cyberman, and then therefore
It's actually Doctor Who.
it's actually a Doctor Who crossover. Yeah, there you go. That's for you.
I mean, how would you would have? I guess what you would say. What if Balin gets knocked off, and then they have to put Balin and Hu Yang together to make a Cyberman?
There you go.
Because there has to be the
Yeah,
human
the
host,
human aspect
to
of
make,
it. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I love it.
Speaking of Balin,
oh,
Shin will find and attack Balin in the finale.
ooh, we've seen a lot of
Tension, yeah.
tension between them, but we've also seen like Padawans versus their masters, and a lot of this Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a given at this point.
So buy or sell.
Ooh, I'm gonna buy that. I'll buy that.
You could buy half of it and sell the other half if you want. So.
All right. So what I'm gonna say is I'm gonna say it won't be a physical altercation. It will be a verbal altercation.
Confrontation.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll 100% buy that.
Yeah, I'll sell the physical aspect of it, but I think she's gonna like really like get into that ordeal of like him abandoning her in a way, you know.
Which is what he was critical of. Wait, wasn't he critical of Ahsoka doing that? Or I can't remember, man.
Well, also, if you notice in this episode, Thrawn kept jabbing Balin, like kept like prodding at his name. And he's like, "Oh, he failed here. Oh, where is he
where
here?
is he? Yeah.
So
We may have, in fact, have won this. If Lord
if
Balin was there.
yeah. And so, what if Thrawn turned Shin against Balin, and she's the one who initiates?
Oh yeah,
like
see that?
yeah,
And maybe that's what he meant by "go take your place" because he knew that would happen.
Interesting, very interesting.
That could be definitely an
That's a
interesting
good one,
setup.
man.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. All right, last one. The season will end with a cliffhanger of Thrawn returning, but our heroes stranded.
Ooh. Okay, so this is a very interesting one for me. I don't want this to happen, but I can 100% see Disney do this. So I'm going to buy this.
Okay.
Just off the fact that I can see Disney doing this. I don't want this to happen. I want there to be a somewhat conclusion because in my mind, I can't wrap my head around Thrawn coming back, wreaking havoc and terrorizing, and then there be an episode 7 with Rey and no mention of Thrawn or the Empire or like the rise of the Empire or the heir.
Yeah.
Yes, I get it. There's the New Order, but I don't know. Like he must have something to do with the New Order, and that's the case. But anyway, that's just me.
So you're buying what
I'm
I said.
going to go ahead and buy that just because I can see
That our
them
heroes
doing
are
it.
stranded in this distant
Yeah,
galaxy.
I can see that.
I don't know if I can see them necessarily being stranded. I could see them being like on his tail, like in the sense of like they end up sort of leaving together, or their ship is like in the wake, like maybe somehow
Ride the energy waves.
or do
Ride the wave,
or they end up
no
doing like a classic like rebel setup where they're like have to sneak onto the ship to be able to escape, and they're kind of at the
I bet
mercy
that's
of
gonna happen,
Thrawn.
no.
Actually, I know exactly what's going to happen because it's Disney, right? They're going to attempt to capture Thrawn, but he gets away, and they are like, "Oh no, we're stranded." And then conveniently, the Purgles show back up, and they just get back on.
Stop. No.
Or Ezra calls them or something. Like
this isn't
Ezra's
Lord
like,
of the Rings.
He calls them.
Yeah. Actually, because all right. So you're selling Shimano.
Yeah. I'll sell it. They'll be stranded. Okay. They're gonna come back with him, I believe.
Okay.
But I could very well see I could very well see like the last few moments of this season being like them in hyperspace, and then like them like exiting hyperspace, and you just see like Thrawn's fleet, and then you see the New Republic fleet, and then maybe you see like there's a little skirmish, and New Republic is like slowly is taking over, and it looks like they're gonna win. And then like you see like all of a sudden you just see like you normally see on the positive side, you just see a whole bunch of like New Republic ships or like showing up, but actually it's Imperials showing up.
You
to, like,
see
turn the tide.
the Shadow Council and Moff Gideon. Is that what you're saying? Like that would be
Essentially like that type of thing
That would
where
be
it's like because we see it all the time in like We've seen it all the time in like where like all of a sudden, just in time, all the good guys show up.
Yeah,
It'll be very interesting to see
Tables
all of a
flipped,
sudden,
yeah.
you know, all the bad guys show up like at the end of the
That'd
season.
be incredible, actually.
All right. Well, so that's last buy or sell, but
Yeah.
I do want to talk about getting back from the distant galaxy to the main galaxy. The mechanics of this help me understand. Because the only ship that was able to do the hyperspace was that big ring ship.
They had 3 hyperdrives on there.
Okay. But now, unless they're going to
And the
just
coordinates.
move the hyperdrives to the Star Destroyer, that is a Star Destroyer, right?
It is, yeah.
Okay. They haven't spelled that out yet.
It's the name of it's Chimera. That's what the name of the ship is.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right. So, are you guys just saying like they're going to move those hyperdrives to the Chimera?
The way the ring is set up, I do feel like they built it in a way to dock onto. Like I feel like the part of the Star Destroyer will park into it.
Okay, I see.
Just because it's a ring shaped, like it doesn't make sense for it to be ring shaped unless it's going to be a docking mechanism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very similar to like in the prequels. There were they had an
Yes, that's right.
they had an attachment for smaller ships. There was a ring set up.
Which
Sorry,
Obi-Wan
sorry,
used.
you lost me at prequels.
So anyway, like some of their smaller ships, they had something that they could attach, basically an attachment very similar that was a ring setup that could allow it to travel in hyperspace.
Which Obi-Wan used it to. Where did he use it to go?
Was it to go to Geonosis or
It might have been
Mustafar? Maybe
I think it was Geonosis.
Okay.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool though.
Okay, that's actually helpful because I was wondering like,
I think that's what's gonna happen. Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
probably right. Okay. I don't remember how big that ring structure is, but yeah, what's going to happen is they're going to just find a way to sneak on the ship, and what's his face? Thrawn's not going to know, or you know, maybe he will know, and he's like, "All right, we know they're somewhere on this ship."
Yeah.
and that's
But we need to get back.
we need to get back. Yeah.
Yeah, he made the calculated risk. Like, it's more important to be back than
that's
to,
right.
you know.
Which we've seen a lot of his calculations, like and him willing to take a defeat.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So, like, again, I'm still new to the whole Thrawn dude. Everything you guys have ever said about him, it feels like, you know, when you don't know something about a character, about a character in a show or a movie, and what do? You go to YouTube and you watch a video about like everything you need to know about this character. Talking with you guys was like watching one of those videos because like everything you guys have ever said about Thrawn, they've spelled it out so perfectly.
They did.
Like he's so composed. He's like, he's taken what looks like L's straight to the jaw.
Yeah.
And he's unfazed. He's like, oh no, bigger picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is all this is all part of the grand plan. Like
Yeah.
by the end of this, we will win.
Yeah,
that
like
kind of thing.
when his map and there's so many dead soldiers of his, he's like, in the grand scheme of things, this is a pretty successful.
Yes, correct.
And then Morgan's like, does
what?
the classic, like, what?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and-
exactly.
And you know what? The line that Balin says to Shin is almost exactly what Thrawn portrays. And like he says, one last bit of nugget for you, Shin, is like impatience to victory leads to defeat. Like
Yeah.
Thrawn is patient and he is willing to wait for his victory. Like
Yes.
he's had many victories throughout his entire tenure in Star Wars. But obviously, like even his defeat of losing to Ezra ended up with him still surviving and escaping into another galaxy. Like that's so it's going to be very interesting to see how this actually does conclude with Thrawn's chess match.
Yeah.
Gosh, dude, Thrawn's so awesome. I really do like.
Yeah,
it.
it's been awesome to see
Yeah.
a villain who doesn't need a lightsaber, doesn't need the Force,
Yeah.
doesn't need a dark saber,
Yeah.
doesn't need a super suit, doesn't need lightning coming out of his fingertips.
No.
By yourself for you guys.
Sure.
By yourself.
Wait, no, that segment's closed.
Okay. Well,
Go ahead.
Sorry
go
about
ahead.
that. A bonus by yourself.
Yeah.
We will see Enoch in action.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah, I hope
yeah,
so.
it would be really cool to see. We got to see him do something.
He's got to do something cool. Like he's got to take out somebody.
Wait.
important.
You mean his conference calls didn't look cool to you? They looked cool to me.
Yeah,
I don't know.
However
man.
they did that technology, they looked pretty sick.
I mean, yeah, it did.
But no,
look
you're
cool,
right. We
but
need to
he-
get some
he
action.
needs- He's
Enoch,
too cool
Enoch
not
and
to.
Huyang?
Yeah. Oh, maybe.
That'd be
Maybe.
interesting. Another interesting one. What if Morgan decides, she isn't
gosh.
liking the direction that's going in, and Enoch
I'm just
destroys
waiting.
her.
I'm just waiting.
Man. Dude,
Yeah.
I have a feeling like you'll stand up for like a touchdown if Morgan gets
Yeah,
slaughtered.
at one point it looked like she was questioning something in this episode, and I think she was, but I was like, finish her. Like, I was jumping straight to 10. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I was
Dude,
just ready for it.
That's wild.
Yeah, but he's been great. How did you guys read into when Morgan gives him that little tablet about all the information they have on Ahsoka?
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
And he says the question, she was trained by General,
Skywalker.
Anakin, yes.
Anakin Skywalker. How did you guys read that? Did you guys sense like I can't wait to capitalize on this? Or did he look worried to y'all? Like, how did you guys view that?
I feel like it was sort of like
He looked genuinely surprised.
I think he was surprised, but I think it was almost like the way that someone who is a historian would like when they would hear something that is really cool. Like there's this
Okay.
like story of like there's this idea of the fact that it is believed that Charles Darwin and Steve Irwin own the same tortoise. And as someone who loves history, that's just something that is super cool.
Whoa.
Like I think that's the way he kind of sees this. Is he's very like he sees it as a very interesting fact, and almost sees it as like it's almost like a nerd moment in time, or someone who is such a big name in the history of the Republic moving to the Empire, that he sees this as a just something that's really kind of cool and a big piece of the puzzle.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, another part of it, like he said on there, like they can use that information. Like Ahsoka, maybe she's picked up tendencies from her master to be unpredictable. Like because that's what Anakin was kind of known for. Like he didn't follow the scene path. Like he would always find new creative ways. And so he was kind of like, I think I have a read on Ahsoka. Like. We should leave it at this for now because we don't know exactly what she's going to do because Anakin was her master. So it was information building, but also, it could have been more of along the lines of what Shimano's saying too. But I think the information, I think he's going to use that to play out into some sort of in the final battle with her.
I'm believing that he will. I guess what I'm trying to ask you is, did you get any sense of, he's so cool and composed.
Right,
But did you get any sense of like, oh shoot? Was
he worried?
Yeah, or is he just like, okay.
Yeah, I think it was more of the latter there.
Okay. All right.
I think it's like he saw it as a piece of the puzzle, and I think the way that Thrawn kind of thinks about it is, whether it's a good or a bad piece of the puzzle, the more you see the puzzle, the better you have a chance to understand the situation. I think it's kind of how he sees like everything on the field.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if it's a good or bad piece. It's just, it is a piece.
Yeah. I will say a villain like him who is so calculated, so intelligent, anytime you get a moment where they learn something, I just love to see those moments.
Yeah.
I think that's why I love that moment where he like literally asked a question almost like, am I reading this right?
Yeah.
He wouldn't say it with a chuckle like I did, but that's my way of like, it's almost like he's like, is this true?
Yeah.
Like he even asked that question, like she was trained by Anakin, like you know, like so. I love when there's villains like that who are just so collected, so calculated, so in control, but when they actually like learn something, it shows like they don't know everything, right?
And I think it's kind of for like characters like that, if it's done well, it's almost like this idea of, you don't think of them as not knowing something. So when they do learn something,
Exactly,
it turns out really cool. And you learn a lot about the character from the way they take in that information. Does it become something that creates an issue for them, or is it something that helps solve the problem?
Yeah.
And I feel like with Thrawn, that's what's so cool about him is he sees all information as a positive in his mind.
He can weaponize anything.
Yeah, like he's like, okay, now I know more.
Yeah,
and like he literally is like the embodiment of like knowledge is power.
Yeah, and instantly,
That's great.
like you said, instantly calls off the attack in the debris field. She'll do something irrational.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay,
Very good.
very good.
All right. So something I'm a little down on in this
Ooh.
episode. We got
Wah,
yeah,
wah,
I got to be that
wah.
guy. All right.
Let's hear it.
So, this started happening a couple episodes ago. I really started to dislike Sabine.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
coming.
I don't know, man. There's something about the way that her character has gone in this series. Like, she opened up really strong, in my opinion. But her,
It's because she cut her hair, isn't it?
I don't know, maybe, I don't know. But
kidding.
her
kidding.
her confidence level and her
Yes.
self-doubt is really starting to get me right now. Like,
Yeah, I'll agree with you in that point. Like, Sabine, like, part of the core of Sabine's character has been, like, a confidence and a, like, almost swagger
Yeah,
that
like
she would
spunk,
have.
dude. Like,
yeah,
she had,
and,
like,
and she, was,
yeah.
she was spunky, very much so. And I feel like she has
She's got the yips.
she has become a little, like, whiny in a way.
Yes, yes.
You know,
and woe is
like,
me, right? Like,
yes,
this whole, like she's playing the
like,
small
oh,
violin
I can't
every
do
time.
this,
Yeah.
like that type of thing. Like, you
even,
know,
even when Ezra's like, no, I have the Force on my side. She's like, well, I'm gonna need a little bit more because she can't fully grasp the fact that, like, the Force is a thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, well, let's train her as a Jedi.
Even though she just talked to
Exactly.
someone from
Like,
the Force.
Oh, I don't
Yeah.
know. But what was that? Oh, something
Dude,
familiar.
something that got me was like she had the 2 blasters, right? And I'm okay, you know, to some extent using, you know, that's your first skill set. It's what you know for so
Sure,
long. Great.
yeah.
But there's so many times where she's got a lightsaber and not using it in close combat.
Yeah.
Where these blasters aren't doing you any good and you're trying to deflect with the blasters. Pull out the freaking lightsaber. You know? Can
Yeah.
someone use a lightsaber in this battle, please?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that whole thing was, like, so infuriating to me beyond Sabine. But I'll give you that.
The
Sabine has
fact
been-
that for Sabine the lightsaber is her last resort makes
Yeah.
no sense.
where
to
I'm
me.
like, dude, if I had a lightsaber.
yeah.
Dude, yeah. Even Finn was, like, quick to use a lightsaber. When he had,
That's
a
right.
lightsaber?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Like, this is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah,
That is
exactly.
100% true, man. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh,
Yeah.
you put that out. That's amazing.
So,
I don't know, like, maybe she has, like, this, like, lingering, like, fear of a lightsabers that stems from, like, the dark saber and, like, the kind of stain of the relationship with that she kind of has with her. Because as we've seen with the dark saber is a little more, like, taxing, as you've seen, like, The Mandalorian and things like that, than a general lightsaber that you would see. And she wielded it and attempted to wield it during the Rebels series. So I don't know, maybe she kind of, like, that was her first real experience with using a lightsaber, so she kind of feels something there with using a regular lightsaber. But it is, you know, it would be nice if characters actually did use the weapons at their disposal.
Yeah.
dude.
And the fact that it's taken 7 episodes and she still has not, like, found herself yet, I feel like
Yeah.
we're dragging this on a little bit too long. Like, Sabine should have found herself either this episode and become a force to reckon with.
Yeah.
But she's not. And when is the shoe going to drop? Because she was amazing in Rebels. Like, she held her own and she was like on point with every mission. Like, right now, I think she's a liability, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. Like, she's not confident.
Legitimately in the crew, I mean, she was probably like the 4th best fighter, you know, and that there were some heavy hitters. I mean, Kanan was awesome. Zeb was a beast. Chopper, and then probably her. Like, she was a very accomplished fighter. She could hold her own without using any
Weapons at all.
any weapons at all,
It'd be cool
or
to see her
just
make some
or just
bombs
her, or
even,
just her
like-
blasters. And she was she was their explosive
like
person.
they're- yeah.
Like she has yet to touch a single, like, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's what they'll do with something. Maybe she'll sabotage whatever they have in their holds. Like, maybe, like, that would be an interesting thing if she somehow sabotages whatever they have there for, like, making, like, a giant bomb. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. She's been interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's been the, like, 4th most interesting person who has held a lightsaber in this series, like, at best.
In this series.
Yeah. Okay. This isn't by herself, but I mean, what are y'all's thoughts? She keeps swerving Ezra,
Oh, yeah.
and I just get the sense like he's got to be so pissed whenever he finds out because he still doesn't know.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't know anything.
I'm not gonna. That's also a little annoying. The way that she's like, she's trying to come off like playfully, like, oh, you don't need to talk about that right now. But it's like,
Yeah, that's just
That's
the
a pretty
first
big
time.
deal, lady.
That was
That's
last
like-
week, and then this
Yeah.
week it was. It's complicated.
Yeah.
yeah,
And now that Mama Ahsoka's there, it's gonna be like, Sabine, what the hell were you thinking? You know?
yeah,
Yeah. Why would you give them what they needed?
Yeah. Ahsoka's literally gonna be like,
Yeah.
no offense, Ezra, we're glad to see you, but we shouldn't be seeing you because Sabine
Should've
kind of
destroyed-
done effed up.
Yeah.
yeah.
And now Thrawn's on
She
his way
done
back
did
home.
mess up.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, literally, it's like everything Ezra sacrificed is about to be wasted.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'd be
Essentially,
pissed.
Essentially, yeah.
I'd be pissed.
Like he wasted his almost
9
half
years.
his life.
His-
Yeah,
the
that's
best years
crazy.
of his life. He literally wasted like the best years of his life. Like
He's
from
been
like
on the run with Nodies or
from
whatever
like,
they're called.
from like 17 to 25, he basically just missed. Essentially, like the best years of a person's life, he missed.
That's wild, dude.
So that's crazy. So that's gonna be really interesting to see how he reacts to that.
Is he the type to get angry?
Not really. He's pretty level headed. For the most part.
Have you guys
Yeah.
liked him, by the way? I mean, aside from
Ezra?
him not using a lightsaber.
I feel like we haven't really seen a lot of
Yeah.
him to be like in full character. I mean,
Yeah.
he's still kind of like, oh hey, thanks for saving me. Like he's in the gratitude stage right now,
Yeah.
but like he really hasn't been involved
Yeah,
in like planning.
I don't
or
think he's gotten enough
decision-making.
information
Yeah.
to really understand what's going on to make a clear distinction on what
and
his
see, I think
is
this
right now.
this gets back into one of the first things you said about this episode, where it kind of feels not that it was a bad episode, but it's kind of like, yeah, you know, you're
Yeah,
just like,
right.
And I think that's one of it. It's like, yeah, because he was in the dark at the end of last week. We figured at least by now,
Right.
we'd get that moment where he's like, what? And we still
Yeah.
haven't had that.
Which to throw all that into the last episode, there's a lot that's going to go into this last episode.
Buy or sell?
Oh gosh,
Is it going to be a Marvel style ending?
don't do this to me, man.
Buy or sell,
Don't-
Justin.
I
Too
mean,
much in one
Disney
finale?
Disney has a really bad track record with finales on the Marvel end.
On the Marvel end.
Star Wars,
Um,
I'm thinking maybe one, maybe. I mean, Kenobi, maybe.
I can't remember a lot of them. I'm not gonna lie.
Um,
But it's okay.
no,
It won't be as bad as Marvel.
Filoni, we trust.
It
Yeah.
won't be as bad as Marvel, but it
No.
does.
No.
You do get the feeling where it's like there's a lot here.
Yeah,
But at the same time, is there? I mean, you got the stuff with Shin and Balin.
I would say, okay, so as long as they leave it with, they get some of the stuff resolved, and they leave it on a cliffhanger to set up a season 2, it's all right. As long as they're not like acting like they've wrapped everything up, I think we're good. Like,
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
because that's
Like if
the
they
annoying-
rush and kill Thrawn somehow.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, that would be so bad.
Yeah, like,
that would be a Marvel
Now-
style ending.
Marvel style, somehow Morgan Elsbeth kills Thrawn and like becomes the supposed big bad.
so
That would be.
I
the
wouldn't watch
Marvel.
the next season.
Yeah,
so terrible.
Dude, that'd be bad.
I did think of something that would be really cool to see if, like the idea of if somebody actually did get left behind. A really cool one, kind of along the lines that I was already talking about, is if Hu Yang gets left behind with Shin, and basically he trains her like in like overtime, and she ends up like showing up sometime in season 2, essentially rehabilitated, and becomes like a surprise Jedi. Like
Interesting.
and like he basically like cleanses her of like
Yeah.
the Sith side, and she actually is able to be essentially
She does
what
her
we were
hair,
hoping
takes off the
Sabine.
eyeshadow.
Yeah, what we were kind of hoping Sabine would actually become.
Yeah,
You know,
because Ahsoka does kind of reach out with that olive branch in that fight.
She does.
She's like, just
Yeah.
giving the lightsaber. I'm here to
I can
help.
help you.
Yeah, that kind of thing. But she runs away.
yeah, and they've laid out like a whole bunch of lines about Hu Yang being like, you know, training in the Jedi
good,
Temple
yeah, tutor
and all that kind of stuff.
knowledge base kind
and
of
it
stuff.
seems like Shin is sort of lost.
Her
at the moment.
foundation's not
Yeah,
solid.
Yeah, it's not super solid, and she seems to be. There have been moments where you're like kind of seeing her lean one way or another, and although she has a lot of anger in her, like she hasn't really she hasn't done anything that in this series so far that pushes her so far to the dark side that she can't come back.
So Balin probably knows who Hu Yang is, right?
I mean, just knows of maybe just because
Maybe not
the crew of the
knows like
Ghosts
specifically Hu Yang, but probably knows
Of him.
of that robot.
Actually, you know
of
what?
that
You know what?
model.
No, he would know. You're right. Because if Hu Yang was there from the Jedi Temple days,
I mean,
he would know.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
the only thing I would say is he probably knows the model of robot, but he may not know Hu
necessarily
Yang
specifically,
personally.
yeah.
Because if you think about,
Yeah,
like,
right.
you know, those big Jedi temples, there were probably hundreds of those robots, you know, and
Droids.
whatever. Anyway, there are probably hundreds of those droids that, you know, would help out. So he may not necessarily have worked specifically with Hu Yang, but knows of the set.
Yeah.
Very good.
I was just curious about that. So.
Yeah.
All right. Any other thoughts on the penultimate episode, boys?
No, not really, man. I'm just hopefully we get a landed plane
Yes.
on this next episode. So
Uh-huh.
I'm excited.
What about a landed Chimera?
Ooh, no, destroy that thing.
Hopefully,
No
not
way.
Thrawn, to just destroy the Star Destroyer.
Just
That's all.
just a
hopefully
ship.
it's not too much of a shapeshifter.
Nice. All right. Yeah, I think we're good.
All right. Well, big shout out once again to everybody who tuned in. We want to remind you to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen. Please leave us a review wherever you listen. Share this podcast with your friends and follow us on social media at Royal Geek Pod. With all that in mind, for my good friends Sandy and Shamato, this is T-Roll saying thank you so much for listening to the Royal Geek Podcast. We'll see you next time for the finale of Ahsoka. You peasants.